So it's been a while since I did a Bible read. It's been a month. But I found a new Bible because I lost my old one and I burned my personal one. It's a traditional Bible, believes begins with the Genesis, Isaiah, so forth, and the New Testament towards the end. And I think I've done more than half already. Yep, I'm almost 2/3 into it, I think. So last time I was at Galatians 5. Now I'm going to do the last chapter of Galatians 6. Brethren, if a man is overtaken in any trespass, you who are spiritual, restore such a one in a spirit of gentleness, considering yourself, lest you also be tempted. So what he's saying is that if you see somebody trapped in the cycle of sin, then you who are spiritually above the sin and know the reason one shouldn't sin, whereas in the world people are given fears and laws, but the natural law, which is a spiritual gift for man to find out for himself, that person can restore another who is overtaken in the trespass, and you can restore them into a spirit of gentleness, which means more like a spirit of righteousness, because we know men are more gentle than the wicked, wild females, girls gone wild. Anyway, considering yourself, lest you also be tempted. So while you save another, you have to not forget about yourself, which is what Gandhi's quote confused me with, because Gandhi said to find yourself, it's best to lose yourself in the service of others, which is true, but you have to not take it as literally true, because by serving others you have to keep yourself in mind too, so you can also adapt appropriately to the situation and protect yourself from the negatives of every situation and every person. Bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. That's the problem with the nice guys today. They complain about the woman and women complain about them, because the nice guys are willing to bear the female's burdens, although they should be more concerned about their brothers who are suffering worse. But the females are not willing to share the burden, because they think that if somebody helps them right away, they must be a low-value male. Which is true, because if you're helping everybody, or more than one person, more than that female, who wants you to be in love with her and only her, then you're not going to give as much to her, she thinks. because you're giving to others. Anyhow, part of the modern technological society. One of the flaws in the matrix, glitch in the matrix. For if anyone thinks himself to be something, when he is nothing, he deceives himself. So that's what the females today. That's what they're talking about. If she thinks herself to be something special, when she's actually just a girl, she deceives herself. Because the women become more wise, more self-controlled, better to be around the older they are, unless they go in a negative spiral direction, in which case they become worse. But traditionally, generally speaking, women are more pleasant to be around the older they are, whereas the young ones love to throw their tantrums all day long. But let each one examine his own work, and then he will have rejoicing in himself alone, and not in another. So that's the problem with today's females, stuck in the clock carousel, stuck to the pole, and the lowly social status and emotional life of a whore. But you can't talk bad about them, because if you let them examine their actions, if they did that by themselves, they would have rejoicing in herself alone and not a need for another. They love to say a woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle, but these types of women are always chasing after men, you see. All kinds of men, different men. And not being able to stay focused on one, which makes their value lower. And makes them more miserable too, because they cannot find the peace and happiness within. And that's because they refuse to examine the consequences of their actions, or examine his own work. For the righteous one, he rejoices in himself alone by analyzing and examining his own works. And he can also save a fellow brother that is overtaken in a trespass, and bring him to a spirit of gentleness. But that's a dangerous path, and it can lead to temptation. And more sin for you, when you were doing better before. For each one shall bear his own load. That's becoming more and more true as we reach Agenda 2030. Let him who is taught the word share in all good things with him who teaches. So, they talk about children bringing the apple to the teacher. So, since the teacher's sharing the word, the one who's being taught the word should share in all good things with the teacher. But today we find in society, well, teachers are not doing the right job they're supposed to be doing, so maybe that's why they don't get the respect that they might get in other countries. Not in a socialist America, where they're just bureaucrats and pencil pushers of the mind control. But whoever taught you anything in the past, this is taught in Hindu culture. It's one of the good manners you should follow in life. Is that one who teaches you something, you owe him something. Depending on how valuable the knowledge is, obviously. In fact, in order to gain knowledge in the old days,